mercy, and peace are revealed in the risen Christ. And we experience that same peace and mercy did those first disciples of Jesus in that upper room. I would like us for a moment to imagine ourselves in the place of the disciples. Our friend, your friend Jesus, who you hung out with for 3 whole years, who worked many miracles, was a kind and compassionate man and prophet. He had the ability to heal and to gather together people who were lost and broken and afraid. And now he's dead. He was crucified, the most brutal kind of death that the Roman Empire could ever dream up. And he's gone. And you don't know what to do. And gripped with grief and fear, you gather together in an upper room, perhaps that same room that they celebrated the Last Supper in, and they are afraid. And we know how disorientating how disorientating grief can be. It causes us great fear and confusion. And they were huddled together. And in the midst of them, although the doors were locked, the risen Christ Jesus appeared to them. And imagine all the things that Jesus could have said to them. And his first greeting, risen from the dead, is peace be with you. What a beautiful expression of God's love. That in the midst of all of that pain and suffering, in the midst of all the confusion and hurt, we know that God offers us his son Jesus, who he has raised from the dead, and he offers us great peace. And that same greeting that the risen Christ offered to his disciples, fearful, bereaved, and uncertain, he also offers to us. And what a blessing it is for us to gather here on this second Sunday in this time of Easter that St. John Paul II has named for us Divine Mercy Sunday. And we know that this greeting of peace is combined with God's love and with God's mercy. I oftentimes feel very sorry for Thomas. On today, when we read about Thomas, one of the twins called Didymus, we use the adjective to describe him. And if I said, how do we describe Thomas? You would say he's what? He's doubting. So throughout of all of history, we call him doubting. But again, I want us to put ourselves in his shoes. How many of us would feel and react in the very same way? Our faith is shaken. How could it be that God's love is stronger than death and reached into Jesus' life and raised him from the dead? How could it be possible that someone walks into the room with doors that are locked? We know that he's different, but the same. We can see his hands crucified, his side pierced. How could it be possible? And I know that sometimes we are filled with that same doubt. How is it possible that Jesus is here in word and sacrament? But we are encouraged by Jesus' mercy toward Thomas. What he invited Thomas to do was to come and see. Put your hands in mine. Probe those nail marks. Put your hand into my side. Do not persist in your unbelief, but believe. A great act of divine mercy, that forgiveness, compassion still are the garments that Jesus wear, even raised from the dead. And I was thinking that as we celebrate the resurrection of the dead, one of the things and one of the ways that we can look at this is that divine peace and divine mercy meet. They kiss one another. in Jesus raised from the dead. And we need to be the heralds of that great message. And on this Divine Sunday, Divine Mercy Sunday, may we be filled with that same kind of love and compassion to the believer and the unbeliever alike. And may we continue to have faith enkindled in us as we celebrate this time of Easter. I don't have a lot of information about this, but I know yesterday, as the Holy Father was preparing for the vigil of this Sunday morning, that he declared that in the upcoming year, starting in the time of Advent, for a whole year, we will be reflecting on God's love and mercy. And the very succinct message that he came to deliver to us as a global world church is that we need to be more like God, who is full of love and mercy, and we need to be people who are less of judgment. So as we come here today to celebrate this time when Jesus is raised from the dead, as we celebrate this great miracle of God's love, may we know the peace of Jesus Christ, and may we experience God's divine mercy as we celebrate today that truly Jesus is risen from the dead.